Hello, and welcome to Desktop Soapbox. I'm Zach, and I'll be your narrator through this adventure through Tales from the Front Desk. This tale comes from user underscore Blazia underscore, titled, I thought she was checking in for a one-night stand. Boy, was I glad to be wrong. I'd been working as a front desk agent for about a week. It's my first time working at a hotel, so I'm still learning the ropes, even though I'd previously worked as a check-in agent for a cruise line. I'm working the afternoon shift, and things have been pretty slow. Couple of check-ins here and there, and that's about it. It's about 7 p.m. when this lady, we'll call her Libby, comes in, and after talking things out at the valet, makes her way over to me. We exchange greetings, and she tells me she would like to reserve a room, but only for a couple of hours. Obviously, we're not a motel, so I let her know the minimum of time she could reserve a room for would be a full night. After asking what the price would be, $240, which is way too much for the kind of hotel I work at, by the way, she agrees and hands me her credit card. This is where things get weird. As soon as I ask her for ID to make the reservation, Libby backtracks and says she doesn't want her name anywhere on the reservation and would like to make it under the name of the guy who would be joining her later instead. I pause for a moment, and after asking her again if she was planning on using the room as well, I tell her that I at least need to put her name into the accompanying list for the room. I reassure her that only the employees would be able to see said list, and that no, the guy she was planning to meet wouldn't see it. I would like to make it very clear that throughout this whole interaction, Libby has been super composed, kind, and understanding. At this point, however, I'm just thinking she's here for a one-night stand and doesn't want the dude to know anything about her because she's probably married or something, which I can work with for sure. But why not actually get a motel lady? This theory of mine is further solidified when Libby asks me to make a note on the reservation so that, if any point we need to address her by name around the dude, we wouldn't call her by her real name, and instead, she gives me a fake name, or so I thought, to address her by. At this point, I'm obviously bewildered, but still trying to be accommodating and trying really hard not to let it show how much I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. We go through the rest of the check-in process, and she even goes as far as showing me a pic of the dude so I'll know who he is when he comes in. I hand her the key, and she heads to her room. About an hour later, mystery dude walks in. Let's call him Jake. My coworker, who has no clue of anything, ends up checking him in, so I don't really get to see much of Jake. To be honest, at this point, I still wasn't giving the whole thing much thought other than, that's a bit weird. Not even 30 minutes have passed since Jake went up when Libby comes back down and hands me both keys. Says thank you in the most serious and cordial way, then walks off. Multiple thoughts went through my mind as this lady was making her way to the valet. That was way too fast even for a quickie. Why the heck did she give me 2 keys? Where's Jake? Libby, please tell me you didn't murder Jake. Security is standing behind me, staring Libby down, probably having the same thought process as I am. My coworker and I are whispering with each other, still trying to figure out what the heck happened, because that did not look like a lady who had just had a pleasant romp in the sheets. Cue Jake coming down the stairs and, okay, we can breathe. He's not dead. Now, what happened next, we couldn't see because we suddenly had an onslaught of distressed passengers. So I thought I wouldn't find out what the heck had actually happened between Libby and Jake. But then, the worker from the valet came over, and boy did he have some tea to spill. Turns out that Libby had gone as far as asking the valet guy to park her car in a way that the license plate wouldn't be visible. Why? Because turns out that Jake is Libby's husband. And you might be asking yourself by this point, why has this lady gone through so much trouble to hide anything that might give her identity away from her husband? Well, dear reader, because the alias that Libby gave me just so happened to be the name of the girl Jake was cheating on her with. This woman somehow got her cheating ass husband to believe that his girlfriend had booked them a sweet, sweet night at the hotel, only for him to show up and find his wife sitting on the bed instead. This badass mother bleeper of a woman came back downstairs after probably massacring the heck out of this idiotic boy with not a hair out of place and calmly had the valet bring both their cars back, then patiently waited for Jake Schmake to get his sorry ass back to the lobby so that she could extend her hand and demand their house keys from him. She then got into her car and just drove away. The only thing that would have made this better was if Jake Schmake's girlfriend had also been there to tear into him as well. I like to think she had a part to play in this whole thing, since how else would Libby have managed to trick him into getting to the hotel? Point is, this woman is all I aspire to be. TLDR, badass mother bleeper of a woman tricked her cheating husband into thinking his girlfriend had booked them a night at a hotel only for him to walk in and find her instead. Hoo-wee, that's a story. I did a 5-year stint working at a hotel myself, and I never had something that dramatic happen. The closest to something that dramatic we had was a woman called in to dispute charges on her credit card, only to find out it was her husband that charged them to the King Suite, and he had a woman that was not her with him at the time. So yeah. The next tale from the front desk comes from user Mrs. Ronan Dex. Titled, Scammer thought she had a foolproof plan for a free vacation, but she paid for it in the end. I will always remember this wannabe scam artist. I was working corporate guest relations and I received a very long email from a guest about their stay at our resort property in Mexico. This was a very nice, all-inclusive beachfront resort. She had put a lot of effort into the email, which was basically a day-by diary of her 8-night stay, listing every possible complaint someone could come up with, along with a huge collection of pictures as evidence. It was several pages long and looked something like this. Day 1. The shuttle driver was rude. We had to wait 30 minutes to be checked in. The view is horrible. We can't see the ocean. The sheets were dirty. The AC is so loud I can't sleep. There's a crack in the sidewalk outside our room. My dinner was cold and there wasn't any salt and pepper on the table. The shower has no water pressure. Day 2. We had breakfast at blank and they were out of pancakes. My daughter's favorite cereal, blank, wasn't available. There were loud children playing in the pool all day. There was a light out on the pathway. I called the front desk to ask if there were more towels, and no one answered. I think housekeeping took money out of my purse. The chairs in the lobby are uncomfortable. One of the electrical plugs in my room doesn't work. Imagine a list with 100 more things from her 8-night stay, every department from front desk, housekeeping, to maintenance. Now, some of the complaints seemed plausible, but really, who spends their entire vacation making a log of everything they think is wrong with a resort? Especially a hotel we get very little complaints about. So, I contacted the front office manager to discuss the guest, assuming the front desk system would have all the logs from this woman's complaints. But there was nothing there. In fact, the entire time she was at the hotel, she never voiced any complaints. She merely logged them in her little complaints diary and went about her business. Many of her issues were extremely petty. For example, the crack in the sidewalk was about 3 inches long and was flat on both sides. It wasn't even a tripping hazard, just a small crack. The light out in the path, even in the picture, I could see the area was still very well lit because they have lights everywhere in that area. Her room didn't have an ocean view because she booked a courtyard view. The picture of the dirty sheets showed one tiny little black spot in the corner, like if you tap the sheet with the tip of a pen or fine marker. It took 30 minutes to check in because she showed up 3 hours early and they had to get the room ready. The shower in her room was fine and the AC unit was not loud at all. We looked into everything, talked to all the department heads, and had the room she stayed in fully inspected. While the list made it seem like she had a horrible stay, there really wasn't any substance behind her complaints. So, since this all seemed a little fishy to everyone, I called the guest and spoke with her about her complaints. I told her that I had been in contact with the hotel and we couldn't find any record of her complaints, and I inquired who at the hotel she had spoken to while she was there, and she admitted no one. I gave her my apologies and suggested that next time she should express her complaints while on property so that they can be immediately addressed. For example, housekeeping would have been happy to change out the dirty sheets. Keep in mind, she was there for 8 nights at an all-inclusive resort with 7 different restaurants, 4 bars, and multiple pools. She probably never left the hotel, but never said a word about all the problems she was having. Note, 100% of the employees speak English. It's a requirement because this is an American chain hotel. So, in the name of customer service, I tell her that we would like an opportunity to make this right and offered her 3 free nights to come back in the future. Nope, that's not good enough. She wants a full refund and nothing less. I told her that I would discuss and get back to her. The next day, I informed her that the hotel would not offer a refund, but they were willing to add in another night. So now that's 4 free nights. Nope, unacceptable. She continues to demand a full refund. We went back and forth. She wanted my manager, who then told her the same thing. The guest hung up on my boss after things got a bit heated. A few days later, she called again and wants to know the status of her refund. How do you give someone a status on something that's never going to happen? She says she's going to contact corporate. I roll my eyes and explain to her that I am the corporate guest relations coordinator. I am corporate. I spent forever on the phone talking with this woman who just refused to accept the free nights and was hell-bent on getting her money back. She just kept going back to her list. Well, what about? What are you going to do about? I wouldn't budge. It is 4 free future nights or nothing, lady. Then the unimaginable happened. In all my years of customer service, I've never, ever had a scammer resort to telling the truth. She finally realized she wasn't getting a refund. She cried, I can't afford to pay this. I don't have the money. I don't know what to do. You have to help me. I was like, you can't afford to pay? Weren't you planning on paying for your stay when you made the reservation? It's not like we are charging you more than you agreed to, and we're still offering you free nights for your next visit. She responded, completely broken and weeping, I didn't think I would have to pay. I thought I would get my money back. I don't know what I'm going to do. Please, you have to help me. I can't pay for this. I've got kids. Please, you've got to do something to help me out. I need you to give me a refund. I don't know what I'm going to do if I can't get that money back. I can't pay this. Did this woman just admit she planned all this, thinking she was going to complain her way into a $6,500 refund? Yes, she did just say that. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do. The guest, who now sounds like she's having a panic attack, I've got to get that money back. I've got to do something. You've got to help me out here. I don't know what else to do. I don't have the money. I can't pay for this. Ma'am, you should have thought of that before you went on a vacation you couldn't afford. Yeah, I shouldn't have said this, but I was just done with this woman. She had wasted enough of my time already, not to mention all the people at the hotel who looked into her entire list of bull crap. She cried some more, then she resorted to screaming, so I hung up on her. Everything was noted, all my calls are recorded, so I went ahead and attached that file. She did send some hate mail to our corporate offices, but due to the fact I had a recording of her admitting she was trying to scam us, they ignored her letters. Oh, and her frequent guest membership was flagged as being banned from all properties. We did not send her the free night certificates either. That's crazy. You should never, ever book a vacation you can't afford. Like, seriously, she had no plan to actually pay for it, but wanted to scam it for free? That's just insane. Wow. Thank you for tuning into this dive into Tales from the Front Desk. I hope you enjoyed it and liked my soothing voice. If you liked what you saw, leave a thumbs up below and leave a comment on the subreddit that I should read from next time. And hit that subscribe button for the next video. Thank you, and have an awesome day.